Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report is your preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda and an update from your Oshkosh City Manager. Your hosts, Emily Mikowski of Oshkosh Community Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report, your source to take a look at some topics happening right here in Oshkosh, as well as a preview of the upcoming City Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Mikowski, joined as always by your City Manager, Mark Roloff. So as always, Mark, thanks so much for joining us today.
Great to be here, Emily.
So as usual, we're going to go ahead and dive into our hot topics for the first half of today's show. We'll take a little break, and when we return, we will review the upcoming City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, July 14th, 2015. So Mark, first thing that we want to talk about is a lot of people are taking notice of this now that it's summertime. People are getting outside, they're getting out on the river, and that's the Riverwalk Bridge. Now we've talked about this before, it's with the old railroad bridges, and people are actually seeing all the progress that's being made out there.
This is the project on the south side of the river, which is the next phase of it, but it's making some wonderful progress, but it's a little inaccessible, which was the whole idea of making it accessible. So you're going to see some behind the scenes photos because
we gave special access to
Scott Williams, our crack videographer, was out there today and just taking a look at some of the progress that's been made to date. You've got the bridge and just everything, all the surroundings there.
And what we're looking at right now is the shelter. This is also part of the project, but a large portion of it was funded by a grant from the state of Wisconsin.
That's right. We were made aware of an additional grant over and above what we do for river walks, and we said, well, this is perfect. It was intended for places where the public could congregate. So it's a restroom and a shelter, so once it's open, you'll be able to bike down there and use this as a starting point to go around the Riverwalk. You can have picnics down there. It's really intended to be family friendly, and just look at the views that you have.
I know. Oh my gosh. Just beautiful. And
the bridge itself, even though you can't see it yet, or you can't get to it yet, these are the types of views that you're going to have from the bridge. And we've got the bridge that hops over to the island that goes along the Riverwalk, which was huge for us to get a grant from the DNR. They loved the fact that we were giving access to where people had largely never been before, unless perhaps they had a boat.
Right.
Now, the reason that this caught my attention was some people I know who had been out on the river said, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much progress this was making. And they were really asking about the bridge.
This is my favorite part.
The old bridge arch from the old railroad bridge, 1899's on it. We've incorporated that in. I know we've talked about it, but now you're seeing it, and it's just coming together so well.
So it's come together. There's a lot of progress. As we can see, it's not yet completed.
Yeah, work left to do. There's a big bag of rocks.
So when are we hoping that it's going to be completed and that the general public will be able to access?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we're going to have it done before the end of summer. Hopefully earlier, but that depends on weather and what other things the contractor's doing. But by the end of summer, we feel strongly it'll be ready. I'd like it to be done earlier so people can enjoy it as part of the summer, but it'll be a great spot for people to start biking or walking along the Riverwalk. So I am so looking forward to it, and we picked a perfect day to do the video on it, but
yes.
This is the type of access that the public has never really had before, because these were industrial areas.
Right.
Unless you worked for that company, you didn't have access to the river. Now it's accessible for the public, and we've been very fortunate to get DNR grants. Our staff has been just doggedly pursuing grants over the last few years, and now the public's going to be able to join it because we have a shelter and a restroom and a place where you can park and
really make a day out of it.
You can make a day out of it, as little or as much as you want.
Yes. Well, we're really looking forward to finally being able to getting on that. And you said the end of summer, so this can be a beautiful spot once those leaves start to change and everything like that.
Yeah.
Next question is, what's next for the Riverwalk? Now, this is one main part of it that we're working on now, but what are we looking forward to in the future?
We're still working on it, that's for sure. We have a couple little things. First off, for the 2015, what we're going to get done this year's project, because what we just saw was actually the finish up of last year's. The area that you see in yellow here, that's just east of Oregon Street. That goes over to where the Dockside Tavern is. that's our goal for 2015 to get over there. It's a short span, but the seawall beneath there is pretty weak, and that needs to get reinforced. That's what makes this so expensive. It's not the Riverwalk itself, it's the seawall underneath. And then you can see on the left side of the screen in red, this is what we have planned for 2016. We're going to take off kind of where those rocks were, where you saw in the video earlier, and just get around, just to begin to get around that little inlet that's there. I'm not exactly sure where the exact spot is, but that's pretty close to what it is. So what happens in the blue area really depends on how the bids come in. If the bids come in very good for this year's project, we're going to try to do some of the blue from the yellow and working to the west. And then in 2016, we're going to try to go as far east as we can. We believe we'll be able to get as far as the red goes, but then we'll go farther east as we move into that. So the whole idea is to get as far into the Geldwin site as possible. We're working closely with the partners for the Geldwin or the Morgan district, as it were, and we'd love to get it all done in blue by the end of 16, but it's going to depend on how the bids come in.
Yeah, looking at trying to close up that gap and just get as far as we can, like you said.
And if we can get connected like this, that will just be incredible. And we're making a little bit of progress every year. You're going to see a little more progress. Literally, every season you turn, you're going to see some good progress.
Yes, just kind of chipping away at it. So we're really looking forward to all the awesome things to come with the Riverwalk. And as you said, it's a little bit of progress every year, and we're seeing it happen. Next thing we want to talk about here, Mark, is a WEDC Community Development Grant. Now that's the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. And this was a $50,000 grant that was awarded to the city. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what this grant is for, what it'll be used for.
Sure. The council had said that they wanted to redo a central city plan. We had a downtown action plan that was done in 2001, but we've pretty much done everything on that list. So now we need to develop another plan to say how do we want to move towards in the future. So now we're calling it a central city investment strategy because it's both sides of the river. It's taking a look at a large part of the downtown, not just along the river, not just along Main Street. It's really the whole area. And then parking was something that wasn't even addressed in the 2001 study. Excuse me. Because everything was so successful, we've got a little bit of challenge with parking. And you can see what we've just recently done with the Riverside parking lot. That was done in part because of demands that had been placed with expansion of 4Imprint. And so we're creating more parking so that Convention Center can use the Riverside parking lot, and then 4Imprint and City Center can use some other areas. But parking is an issue that's out there. We need to certainly address it for the downtown businesses, employers down here, and then also take care of visitors to the downtown, whether they're coming to shop or go to Waterfest or they're using the convention center or for whatever reason. We want to make sure that we're accommodating them. So the study is to take a look at what other improvements do we anticipate needing or that we think people might want to invest in on the private side over the next 10 to 15 years, and then what demands is that going to place on our infrastructure. And for the most part, the infrastructure really means parking. So we'll take a look at that, and hopefully we'll be able to decide what areas we may need to expand parking in the future.
Kind of where do we go from here type of thing. So
exactly.
Yeah, well, it's great to see the Riverside parking lot. I know we talked about this the last time we had city manager's report, but just an amazing how fast that got done, and I'm sure there are people parking in it right now for Waterfest. Who else is participating and contributing? Because it's not only this WEDC grant. There's other entities that are involved in this. Correct.
In fact, if it weren't for these partners that I'm going to tell you about, I don't think WEDC would have even given us the loan, or the grant, excuse me. The Oshkosh Area Community Foundation, the Oshkosh Chamber of Commerce, and the Downtown Business Improvement District, they all contributed a share towards this, and that meant a lot. Anytime you can show that partners in the community are truly interested in this, but there's points that you get ranked on for these grants, and we've been very successful showing that we have great partners for all of these grants we've done. And the fact that you have the foundation and the chamber and the bid all pitching in for this helps us get points, and it also shows that the community is fully behind this initiative.
Yes, just another great example of our community getting behind something that they really value. So it's great to see all the different people involved and entities involved in making our city a better place. So that is actually the end of our topics for the first half. So now it's that time of the show. If you've ever thought about asking the city manager a question, now is your chance to do so. It's time for our question mark segment. Let's go ahead and see what the question mark question is this week. The question this week is, why was a lake fly chosen for the new Mayor's Breakfast logo?
Oh, I had to get asked, huh?
It's a great question because they just recently unveiled the new Mayor's Breakfast logo. Here we go with the happy, hungry little lake fly there.
Yep, there it is with the fork and knife. Well, first we got to plug the Mayor's Breakfast, which has changed in its focus, because the Mayor's Breakfast has typically been held during EAA week.
Right.
But a lot of things are going on at EAA that the turnout from EAA attendees was going down in recent years. But we were still getting a good turnout from the public. Mm-hmm. So Mayor Cummings decided that, well, let's make this a community thing. And so we decided to still have it at the Leach Amphitheater, but the Mayor's Breakfast Committee decided to move it into August when things are starting to settle down, towards the end of summer. People are home a little more, and it's really thanking the whole community. So you saw that it's August 15th from 7 to 11 a.m., and I think the logo says it all. The old logo had Mayor's Breakfast, but it had a cute little airplane because of the association with EAA.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
With that no longer, we still felt that, I guess the committee felt that wings were still appropriate, but I think the mayor talked about it. It's sort of a tongue-in-cheek thing.
Yes.
Most people, when you think about the lake flies, you ask them about lake flies, it's like, oh, yuck, those things are disgusting. I hate them. They're so bothersome. But, I think it says something about a community when you love your community so much in spite of something as annoying as a nuisance like the lake fly. Mm-hmm. So I think what the mayor referred to is the much maligned lake fly. And it's sort of having a little fun with ourselves. And here's some of our Miss Oshkosh participants. They're having a little fun. The idea is, if you can laugh at yourself, you're going to have some fun. And that's it's enjoying the community, enjoying each other, and a little poke with the lake fly is just a little fun way of saying we still love our community in spite of that annoying little pest.
It's an endearing little lake fly there. So
yeah.
Again, it's Friday, August 15th, 7 to 11 a.m. I believe it's only $5, and it's an all-you-can-eat breakfast and coffee. And the council members and the mayor have a very special job of refilling coffee cups throughout the morning. And so it's just a really great time to get together as a community and have breakfast together.
The council will give a whole new meaning to the term public servant when they're giving you their coffee.
Exactly. So great question this week. If you have a question you'd like to send to Mark, email it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to dive into the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, July 14th. We'll be right back on your City Manager's Report.
Want to know what's happening in local government? Stay in the know with City of Oshkosh government meetings, live on TV, City Cable 10, online at oshkoshcommunitymedia.org, and on community radio WOCT 101.9 FM. Miss the live coverage? No problem. Catch replays on City Cable 10. Stream online from oshkoshcommunitymedia.org or visit youtube.com/Oshkosh Community Media Services.
Stay connected with Oshkosh Community Media Services and the City of Oshkosh. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube. Sign up for e-updates. More resources, including video, at oshkoshcommunitymedia.org. Oshkosh Community Media is your media on your schedule. Connect with us today.
Welcome back to your City Manager's Report. Now it's that time of the show. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the upcoming City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, July 14th, 2015. So Mark, first off here is at 5 p.m. right before the meeting begins. There will be a workshop with the Sustainability Advisory Board on some current projects. So that will be televised, I believe, here on City Cable 10.
that won't be, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's going to be in room 203. The Traffic Review Board, remember everything going on with the Murdoch Avenue issue, whether we do a road diet and things like that. That's actually going to be going on in the normal room where a workshop takes place. So if you're looking for the Sustainability Board, come down to room 203. It's on the second floor of City Hall.
Yes. Oh, glad I mentioned that.
We don't have the camera capabilities, but the Traffic Review Board will be there doing their thing in room 404. We want to make sure, depending on what meeting you want to go to, that you go to the right room. So
otherwise, if you aren't able to get down to room 203, I know they do always have the minutes on the website after the meeting as well. So first thing we want to talk about here is for the public hearing, item number 1 is the official mapping of Sawyer Creek watershed. That's at the 2700 block of Clearville Road, town of Algoma. Now, can you just explain that a little bit for those of us who don't know? I mean, the official mapping, that doesn't really mean much to me at this point.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of different processes whenever we're going through purchasing or in the process of maybe acquiring land. Mm-hmm. Well, first off, this is about stormwater management. And you know about the success we had with the James Road stormwater detention pond. This is actually in a little closer, but this is on Clearville Road between 20th Avenue and Highway 91. And the whole idea there is this is another potential area where we can put in more stormwater detention in the Sawyer Creek area, which is our largest watershed.
Right.
Official mapping, what this does is it says puts the city officially putting themselves on public notice to everybody that they are interested in acquiring this property, so that anybody who may be interested in acquiring it knows that the city also has an interest, and we maybe look to acquiring it in the future. What this will start as a process for us to start looking at, is this a place where we think we can get into a little more detail about acquiring this for stormwater management. The idea would be to put another pond in there. That's really what this is about. But I've taken a look at the numbers that the staff has put together, and this could be just as beneficial to us as the James Road pond is. Oh. And if you've noticed, especially as you go around Traeger School and the area immediately north of Traeger School, where the water in the past rushed through during a big storm, it's lesser because of the pond on James Road. This will further accentuate the benefits that we have there. That'll hold back 2/3 of the entire Sawyer Creek watershed. That will help us manage stormwater much more effectively. So it's just the start of this potential project. And again, we're only talking about official mapping. We're not buying it yet or anything like that. This will get us started to let people know we're interested. We have to do a little bit of investigation before we determine if it's something that we want to pursue further.
Excellent. Well, it does sound like something that is needed, so we'll look forward to the discussion that takes place on that item. It leads us nicely into our next item, another stormwater topic. 7, 8, and 9, 3 items, all related. First, conditional use, then engineering services agreement, and then finally awarding the bid for the 9th and Washburn area detention basin in the amount of about $2.5 million. So it's a little pretty penny there. It's
a big project. This is actually where Campbell Creek and Sawyer Creek come together. Actually, this area that you see in green is sort of an area where it benefits Campbell Creek in blue and Sawyer Creek in yellow. Campbell Creek is an area that was severely flooded in 2008. This area is immediately behind where that new pizza ranch was built and where Motel 6, just off of Keller, but south of 9th. And you can see that this is kind of the footprint of where the pond will be and where the primary holding area for the water will be. And then that yellow area is where extra water will flow in. But everybody's going to be asking in a couple months, it'll probably be a question mark about what's all the dirt flying over there behind Pizza Ranch. Well, they're not doing anything new with pizzas. We're just building the pond right behind that. And the whole idea is that is a very good area where areas of both Sawyer and Campbell Creek come together. And before it starts to go across Highway 41 into very densely populated and developed areas, we want to slow the water down. And so before it crosses 41, we stop it, and this green area will soon be dug up. It'll be re-greened when it's all done, but the whole idea is we'll dig down deep and create some areas to hold back the water, and it's very effective. So the immediate beneficiary of this is really going to be in that area around the West Haven area, Maricopa, there's Greenfield, there's some other areas immediately around the West Haven golf course area. Those areas, that's where the water, what the idea, will rush it to there, and then we'll hold it there, and then it'll slowly get back into the stream. So if you're in Covington, Dickinson, those types of streets, those are the streets where you're going to see a lot of activity over there right after this bid's awarded.
Okay, so it's starting this year. When are we looking at it finishing?
It'd be great if it could finish this year. If it doesn't finish this year, it'll be early next year. Probably no later than probably about now.
Okay,
next year.
Next item we want to cover here, kind of a popular area, a new reconstruction for North Main Street, New York Avenue to Murdoch Avenue. Now this, people have kind of been anticipating this for a while. It's much needed. So when's this project getting done?
This is North Main Street. This will be done in 2016. It was held up because of some federal requirements and state requirements that were getting funded by both of them. They didn't quite match up, so we had to go through some more process to acquire property. This is probably the last thing we're going to need to do before we get the project going, but we plan to bid this out over the winter. Actually, the state will be doing this because this will technically be a state project, but we're going to get it done. It's going to be Main Street from Murdoch down to New York Avenue, so a huge benefit to that area. That road's pretty rocky, and it's in need of replacement.
It's much needed, so looking forward to that happening. And one more time, I think you already stated, when is that going to be getting started?
I believe it'll get started probably early spring, around the 1st of April of 2016.
Wonderful. We're going to breeze through. A lot of the agenda is approvals of special events and some block parties. To our other item that we want to talk about, item number 33, having to deal with some revisions to Chapter 8, the room tax. Give us a little bit of background on this.
Sure. Well, our room tax has had a history of changes over the years, and it's gotten so convoluted that to try to figure out the formula of distribution was really getting confusing. And part of the formula did include a provision where we were giving a set percentage of the room tax to the Grand Opera House, but we've recently renegotiated our agreement with the Grand. That's a fixed dollar amount, so we'll be providing funds to the Grand. That'll continue, but it won't be based on the formula. So we took a look at this and said we really need to clean this up. And so what we've decided to do is to take a look at historically what we've been using the money for and simplify the formula. So the formula is simplified this way. We have a 10% room tax. The first 6% goes to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. By law, they're our designated tourism entity. So they promote the community, 6% goes to them. The next 2% goes to debt associated with the convention center. And we've made some changes to that because we have some debt obligations that we need to fulfill. The Community Foundation gave us $1 million loan that we've hardly paid any of it off, and we need to make sure that we fulfill our obligations there, as well as some future obligations to maintain the convention center. One of the things I think we failed to do in the past was we let it go because we didn't have a dedicated funding source. The state law provides that we can fund convention center debt with this extra 2%. If we don't have any need for it, the tax goes away. But we have a convention center that should be funded by the visitors, not by the taxpayers, and the room tax gets outsiders to pay for these improvements rather than the general public. I think that's very important that we do it that way. And then finally, the last 2% is really intended to take care of costs that we, the city, incur. We have some agreements that we have to cover some convention center costs. The Grand Opera House will continue to get funded out of that percentage, but it's not a set percentage, it's a set dollar. And then other costs we have related to tourism and supporting tourism.
Excellent. So, this is approving it. So does that mean it's going to be effective at this time, or when will that happen?
It'll be effective in July.
Okay.
We don't start collecting July room tax until August.
Got it.
So we get it approved now. By the time we start distributing the July room taxes, it'll be all set.
Great. Next item we want to talk about here is authorizing grant application to Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation for demolition at 1118 South Main Street. Now, this is another grant, and it has to deal with the Buckstaff property. And everybody's first question is, do we have a settlement?
No, we don't have a settlement.
Okay.
But the good, that's not necessarily a bad thing. We're working towards what we believe will be what could amount to a settlement. The idea is that there's some environmental cleanup that needs to get done, and WEDC has a grant program that will help do some cleanup. The governmental entity has to be the one to seek the grant, so we're agreeing to pursue the grant, and if we get it, that could be a step towards a settlement. So
Okay.
I believe that we're on the road to getting a settlement done, and I'm very happy about that. But I knock on wood. Don't get overly optimistic. But I'm feeling very good that we're getting close to an agreement, and this is the first public thing that we're talking about it.
Yes. Well, it sounds hopeful, but like you said, cautiously optimistic. Any other details about this property that we want to share?
Well, it's kind of funny because one of the things we are going to be doing in the next few weeks, and probably at the next council meeting, as well as the next redevelopment authority meeting, is we have to declare the property blighted. Now, I know for anybody who looked at that video that we just showed, as well as just common sense, tells you that that place is in pretty rough shape. Mm-hmm. And we actually were able to, we found a video off of YouTube.
Really cool video.
That shows what the site looks like. It's an old site, and it's time to get it fixed up. But the whole idea is that we're going to use that grant to hopefully clean it up, and then we'll get the dangerous part of it out of there. So that's really the goal. But we have to declare it blighted, if you can believe that. So, but that's a legal term. It's not an obvious common sense term.
Right. That's what I think a lot of people might be misconstruing with the blighted word.
Right. So now we're going to legally declare it blighted, and then it sets in motion some other things that we could do as part of a settlement. So it's just another step in the process, but I'm very hopeful that we're getting close to a solution.
Wonderful. Well, great update. Last item that we have here is under future agenda items is a budget workshop on July 22nd at 5 p.m. in room 404. Any preview for that?
This is our initial kickoff meeting. We have 3 meetings that we talk about budget issues before the budget is submitted to council, and then usually 3 workshops afterwards. This is the first one. We typically talk about personnel costs, which are the largest part of our budget, as well as benefits and what the trends are with that. We had a workshop on health insurance recently, a little update on that, a little update on where we think personnel costs are going to be going in 2016, and it kind of sets the base for where we're going the following year.
Wonderful. Well, it's kicking it off. We're looking forward to it. Again, July 22nd at 5 p.m. in room 404, and it'll be televised on City Cable 10. So looks like that's going to do it. So Mark, as always, thanks so much for joining us on your City Manager's Report.
Always happy to.
Again, the City Council meeting is this Tuesday, July 14th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on City Cable 10 and on our website, oshkoshcommunitymedia.org, or you can also listen to it on 101.9 WOCT, which is now also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all your community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. Don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, you can email it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. That's going to do it for us today, so we'll see you next time on City Manager's Report.